my name is Ilona and today is Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and I'm doing it a little differently today. First of all, in my Dutch video, I was looking at two Dutch subjects, and they had to do with politicians, and I'm sure a lot of people do not know all these names. And the interesting thing is the first was about a company here that works with chemicals. And for years, they've been poisoning their environment. And it's very interesting. It's now coming out. And 3,000 people actually reported them. And there's going to be a court case about this. But the interesting part about this is that a doctor, well known because of what happened the last 3 years, he's well known because of that, actually was part of the complaints against this company, and he received a letter from the company that he wasn't getting his facts straight and he should contact a very important person at a certain government institution that could actually tell him that there's nonsense, it's not true about all these things that they are releasing in nature that would have an effect on health. Interesting is that this person that was named in the letter had no idea she was named and had no idea what they were talking about. There have been investigations into it, but the investigations they were actually talking about in that letter by the manager of the company, Anne Lemaire is her name, that had to do with something completely different. And there have been investigation that connected those levels in the blood system from these chemicals that they use with health. So it was very interesting. This is now coming out. I think they're going to be in court on the 27th of September. But the interesting thing to me is, and I looked at the energy, that this is really about showing people here in the Netherlands how things work. Of course, this will happen on a larger scale. This has been happening for a long time, that companies have been getting away by naming people, saying that they are protected, using tactics like this. Only in this case, because this was such a prominent person that received the letter, and they actually sent the letter to him, that his lawyer actually showed, at least how to say this, came out with this letter and talking about this. This is so important for people to understand why this has been happening and how corrupt the system is here and of course worldwide. Let's face it, this is happening in other countries as well. Many companies have been poisoning us. This is of course the bigger scale of the dark energies that they've been poisoning us for such a long time with air, food, things like that. So this is part of that, but it's very important that people see this piece as well and that it's coming out now. So I looked at that in my Dutch video. I'm probably going to see if I can get English subtitles if you're really interested in that. But this is really the gist of it, that it has to do with manipulation techniques, how they use this, and this is all coming out. The second thing was also about manipulation, and it had to do with politicians attacking each other. I've talked about Forum for Democratie. That is actually a party bringing in consciousness about World Economic Forum, about other things. But they are, of course, not part of, at least that's how I see it. Some people will see this differently. But to me, they are there to bring consciousness or to bring light to certain things. And they really put World Economic Forum on the map in the Netherlands. They really brought it out in a parliament and people were suddenly talking about it. Media was suddenly paying attention to it, like, what is this about? So they really created more awareness of certain things. But in this case, we have another from another party, PVV, Wilders, who started attacking him because of his stance on what happened in September in the USA and what happened with the moon landing, because he doesn't, Baudet doesn't really truly believe what is officially being told about that. And he also mentioned that, like, this so this is actually broadcasted. It was happening in the parliament, because this is like the algemene, how do you say this? I just need to see if I can translate this. This was happening during algemene politieke beschouwingen. So this is general political points of view. And this is really being broadcasted as well if you want to watch this. So you can tune in and see what they're talking about. And this is in the parliament. And he was asked about this, and Baudet was like responding, especially with Building 7, couldn't collapse by itself. And it's very strange that before they actually, in the airplane started cruising, of course, towards these towers, that they would open up the window, throw out their passport, close the window, because it's really strange that the passport apparently survived, and just got into it. It's very unlikely. And also the moon landing, sorry about this, sorry. And also, it's very strange that we've never returned there. And it's also very strange, but that's more like what I've read, that apparently the NASA has no, material anymore from that. So one of the most important historical events in humanity, and you could see it like that, they have nothing anymore of that. So it's all been destroyed or wiped or whatever, and that is very suspicious to me. So it's interesting to see, but he talked about that in these general political way of talking about this in Parliament. And this is, of course, being repeated in the media. They're trying to make him look like he is, in a certain corner. They just want to, attack his way of thinking. And by making other people see like, you shouldn't trust him. He's got all these crazy ideas. That's what they're trying to do. There is also a clip from a woman named Annemarie van Blijenburg. And it's on YouTube, but I believe it is in Dutch. But it's very interesting. She's actually talking about rituals that she attended. And about the dark energies, because her husband at that time was well involved in that. And certain people from the royal family were there. And also certain people from the government were there. And the parliament. And also Wilders was running around there. Very interesting. So I do believe that he is controlled opposition. I don't see Forum as that. I don't see Thierry Baudet as that. But I do understand other people will see him as that because he is still, working in the political system. I believe he is there to create conscious, awareness, what the rest of his party is also doing. A lot of hardworking people in that party. Find it very interesting. They are really reaching a lot of people. But anyway, I see Wilders as truly controlled opposition. He is there to really create distractions, not look at the puppet masters who are really in control, but just focus on the puppet, the puppets playing. Just focus on that so you don't see what's behind the curtain. So I looked at that, and I also see that this is not going to help the case of Wilders or the dark energies. I do believe that this is just going to create more people and more awareness, more strength to the people. And I also see moving away. I had the Chariot as the central card. And in the end, other things are going to come up. Probably maybe about Wilders and maybe also about other people in politics. I think old things. I had the Three of Swords, and I are going to end patience. So I had the Seven of Pentacles. It will take time, but these things are going to come out. So that's my recap of my Dutch video. And in this video, I first of all want to take a look at something very interesting was sent to me. This is from a Belgian newspaper, Belgian, about the Chinese president. So Mr. X has suddenly changed two people from an elite unit who were actually taking care of the nuclear arsenal they had. They just disappeared, these men. And he also changed the foreign minister suddenly. And in the article, I think he even emphasized that he has more and more control about the army, but the process isn't over yet. So Mr. X is still worried about certain corruption inside of the party. And I think he really talking about the party with all the dark energies, and they've had so much influence there. So I'm just going to take a look at the energy of what is going on, why he let those men go, or where, well, they've disappeared. What's going on there? I thought it was very, very interesting. So let's see. We have the Page of Swords. Central card is the Three of Cups. That is an interesting card. We have the Knight of Pentacles in the past. We have the Four of Wands underneath the Three of Cups. We've got the Ace of Cups. So this is actually, and the Nine of Pentacles. A good thing. These are two celebration cards. So I think he really truly got rid of some very important people, puppets on very high places. And he made sure that they were replaced with people he could trust. More information will be coming out about that. So this is usually in the early stages, a curious type. That's what the Page of Swords is actually the energy around that. More information are coming out, but this is actually to change things for the good. See this as a new beginning, more independence from that party that had so much influence and has been trying to push through all these agendas. Things are happening there in a good way. I see this actually as very positive. We have two cards celebrating in a way. So this is interesting. So I think this is actually a good thing, and it was necessary to get rid of these men. They were under control and under the influence of other energies, so to speak. So this is what I've got for China and the replacement of these men. I also wanted to mention, kind of forgot, that another article is also in the Dutch media, is this as well, and the Belgian media, about a speech that Mr. Z did from the Ukraine. And that actually Poland is responding by not sending weapons anymore because of what was said in that speech. And they were not very happy about that. So they're not sending any more weapons towards Ukraine. And I have a feeling that that is going to, more and more countries are going to leave Ukraine behind and not doing anything with that. I find that very, very, very interesting. So the other thing I wanted to look at in this video is the Brics energy, the big Brics countries. I've also saw, that the logo is actually very similar. Someone sent to me to the World Economic Forum logo. I don't see it immediately. They of course do use certain colors, but colors are being used because it's symbolic. And if I look at the color, it's if you just look at the first, just the row of, first Brazil, and that's the green from Brazil. They picked the blue from Russia in the flag. Then we have India, and that's the orange, if you just look at the logo as well. And then we have the red, that is from China. And then the President of Republic of South Africa, they picked the yellow. I think that was what happened. But of course, you can see it in many ways. And I do understand with symbolism that a lot of people, of course, well, it's connected somehow. But let's face it, the dark energies are not creative. They've taken symbols away from us and twisted it, manipulated it. So the original symbols, we should probably take them back in a way. Some of the symbols we can actually interpret in a better way. And I think ultimate symbols itself are not good and bad. It's the intention someone attaches to it. That's how I see things. So to me, this doesn't immediately is like a red flag or anything. Like I said, I believe those colors are representative of the flags of the people that are connected, or the countries, I mean, that are members. But I do just want to see what the energy is of the Brics country. I don't think I ever really looked at it. So see what the cards will have to say about that. We have, let's see, the Eight of Swords. We have the Four of Swords for the central card. This is interesting. We've got the Ace of Swords in the past, the World card. We've got the King of Cups for the future and the Ace of Wands in the future. So right now, so it started as something completely new, and it was to bring in, I do believe, clear, a clear communication, a different way of looking at things. But right now it is working, I do believe, with the new energies, but it's tough they're still working against them. So it's kind of standing still right now. So we're not going to see any new members suddenly appearing. I'm sure there are a lot of countries in talks about BRICS, and it wouldn't surprise me if certain countries already, joined BRICS, but haven't publicly declared it yet. But there's a lot of energies working against it. A lot of it against it. So right now it feels like it's kind of standing still, but it has the energy, to me, of this new world energy they want to bring in. I do believe that ultimately we'll get the quantum financial system, but the BRICS in a certain way are helping to balance things out as well, and are also helping to work towards that new financial system. But the people are working against it. And it's kind of standing still right now because of that, to see what moves they're going to make. But in the future, things are going to open up. New energies are coming in. I think there will be new connections with humanity, with countries. And it will probably be very fast as well, that suddenly things can change, especially because once is the element fire. It can happen very fast. Fire is, of course, a very intense, fast energy in a way. So I do think that suddenly it can change. Doesn't mean it's going to, I can't say when, but this will bring things in motion again. But there will be more community, more connection for people and for countries when following this and joining BRICS. And it will bring a completely different new energy with the Ace of Wands. So to me, this doesn't feel like dark energies. I've read about this, that some people think that the BRICS country is really just another, trap. And that's fine if people see this differently. Always see what resonates with you. I just share how I see things and how I view things. But of course, if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Just follow your own inner compass. Very important that we do that. But I don't see negativity attached to it. I don't see dark energies attached to it, but they are being worked against. People are trying, the dark energies are still trying to limit them. So things are a bit on hold right now. But I do believe that there are more countries that are already part of the BRICS, or at least in talks about it, but they haven't publicly they haven't come out yet, so it's not public awareness. The public is not aware of this, but I do believe that a lot of countries are talking about it, trying to get away from these dark energies, or at least some part of the countries that want change. But change is going to happen in the future. So this is what I've got for this, and hope to see you in another video. Bye.